Hi, I want to talk about arguing in relationships, which happens to quite a lot of people quite a lot of the time and is often a cause why relationships break up. The fact that you argue in relationships, does that signify that the relationship is not viable? No, it does not. It's perfectly okay to argue. Issues will come up. Love brings up anything unlike itself for the purpose of healing. Love brings up anything unlike itself for the purpose of healing. So that in itself is fine. But what you need to have is a recognition of when things are coming up and a culture of communication, a way of dealing with the issues that will inevitably come up as two people live together or more than two people live together. So this is why I want to talk about the listening agreement. The listening agreement is an amazingly powerful yet very simple technique to bring a new kind of culture of communication into a relationship where there's a lot of argument. So how do you do it? When you feel, we're going down that road again, we're going off into this place where we start throwing laser-guided comments at each other designed to hurt and cause upset. So let's pull back from that, because we have made this agreement that when we come to this place, we will invoke the listening agreement. So you sit down opposite each other across a table and you enter into the agreement that you will not interrupt the other person until they have completely finished all that they need to say. And you will maintain contact with them, with your eyes and with your energy and with your attention. Now, they may speak for a bit, then there'll be a silence, they may speak some more, and then they may speak some more. However long it takes, you will give them the gift of your undivided attention, the gift of your listening. Then the tables turn and they're allowed to say what it is they want to communicate, and you listen with the same uninterrupted attention. This is an incredible thing, because what you find is that when you're having an argument about an issue, which may be a valid issue, but when you're having an argument about it, you're so busy thinking about what you're going to say, and you're so busy maintaining rightness and aiming at winning, that you don't really hear what the other person's saying. And in fact, you're not really a space where you're interested even, actually, because your main concern is to be right and to win. This kind of attitude will not work. It'll just cause love to close down. The heart will close down. The mind will become active. The ego will become active. So in the listening agreement, when you're sitting there dealing with stuff using the listening agreement, a different kind of dynamic comes in. This kind of dynamic is that you see the other person. You actually see who it is that's talking. You feel them. And the listening stance naturally brings you into that deeper place within yourself, where you're calmer, where you're kinder, where you're a little bit more considerate, where you're not actually angry. And then, when your time comes, you then speak yourself. But by that time you've come to a really good place. And you've perhaps shifted into a bit more reasonable place, out of a reactive ego space, into a listening space. And perhaps the will to find understanding, the will to find harmony, has won over the will to be right. So in relationships, very often there comes a point, or many times the point comes, well, what is it you really want? Do you want to be right? Or do you want to have love win? Do you want to do what it takes to be right? Or do you want to do what it takes for love to win? And this is a choice that each of us has to make, perhaps again and again and again. Look at what it's like being right. I deal with people who come to me and have been in conflicts maybe for years, and they've got a perfect story about how right they are and how they were a victim of the behaviours of the other person. I say to them, okay, I get where you're coming from, I see your perspective, But how has it been? How has it been being right all these years? What has it felt like? And then when they think about it, they say, well, it's actually been quite isolating, quite lonely, not so great. It's not so great being right. There's no great feeling behind being right. And then you find someone who stepped over that and did what it took for love to win. Perhaps they listened. Perhaps they got off the idea that it was done to them. I say, what was that like when you forgave that person for being who they are? When you accepted that person? And they said it was amazing, because that's what it takes for love to win. And miracles come out of that. And a good feeling, a good sense of self comes out of that. So we have to recognize that when we are talking about the other person, we create a narration within which we have ourselves as the right one and them as the wrong one. And they have themselves as the right one and you as the wrong one. Now here's the question. Is it your perspective on what happened that's the right one? Or is it his perspective on what happened that's the right one? Well, the truth is this. Firstly, there's no objective truth about the situation. It's all perspective. From your perspective, that's your truth. That's how you saw it. But it's no more valid than his perspective, because that's how he saw it. And the battles are often about whose perspective is right. Well, both are right. So understanding that can move you into a deeper place where you're really looking at, who was I being such that he turned up for me this way? Who am I being that the relationship is such that it's turning up this way? And in this, if you want to get closure on an issue, if you want to get closure on a relationship, or if you want to get closure on a chapter of a relationship, you have to reach the place where you can take 100% responsibility for how you're feeling and how you have been feeling in that relationship. And that's when you have the listening agreement conversation, that's what the most powerful thing you can say is. How you've taken responsibility for your feelings. Is it really true that anybody can ever make you feel any way? Can anybody make you feel any way? Can somebody actually make you feel angry? No. You're responsible for the arising of your anger. It comes out of choices and the conditions of your life. No one can make you feel angry. Can anybody make you jealous? No. They do their actions, and your response, which you're in control of, is one of jealousy. That's you. No one is responsible for your happiness. Your partner is not responsible to making you happy. You're not responsible for making him happy. You're responsible for your own happiness. And he's responsible for his. And then you can share. So the listening agreement is about owning your own stuff. Understanding that what the relationship is for you will never be the same as what it is for your partner. And a conflict may have a teaching and a meaning for one partner that's completely different from the other one. And the main thing is that we know what ours is. What is your learning from this? What is your teaching from this? Who were you being such that this situation arose? You're never the victim. We play the victim in times of trauma because it gives us a place to recover. But we need to move out of that soon. Once we've recovered, then okay, now, who was I being such that he betrayed me? Who was I being such that it went the way it did? What subtle permissions did I give him to be this way? And when you realize that, then you're complete on that issue. Then you're complete on that chapter. Then you're complete on that. You can have closure on the relationship. Some people come and see me. Their relationship finished 10 years ago, but they're still living in a story about how they were a victim to his behaviors. And they say to me, I haven't had a relationship since. I say, do you know why? I say, because you haven't finished that one yet. Finishing the relationship is when you take 100% responsibility for your experience. You don't take responsibility for his actions. You take responsibility for your experience of that relationship. And then understanding comes, and then you move on, and then you feel complete. And then you don't have to relive that experience in the next relationship. You move forward. A culture of communication, a good culture of communication in a relationship is about the most important thing. Second to that, there be love there. And the listening agreement, when issues arise, is very, very powerful and has helped a lot of relationships. So I wish you all the best with that.